Okay, that's the way your clutch should look, and this is the way you should do it without the carburetor in the way and line up all your points. Uh, I like the levers that kind of have a cant to them, and sometimes I'm actually prone to heat these up. Uh, Not much to bend them. I don't like them to lose their tensile. I haven't really had one do that. They're a fairly hefty metal, but it is a brittle metal. It's the reason why it has to be heated. It's a malleable, what they call a malleable metal. In a Harley B kit, we give you things like cable ends for cables. You can order our cables. I'll show you our cables in a minute. And you can order these, the wire ends. We can send you all that so you can do a neat, perfect job. Most of it does come in the kits. Every now and then, since I'm doing this, I slip, I forget something, but we also put nye ties in. A nice, neat job is something that I was a former aviation technician off the USS Enterprise. I was a flight wing engineer, and I fired a lot of guys for doing slop jobs. I have a lot of inventory, parts, gaskets, stuff I like, stuff I don't like. I keep it all in neat little bins. There's all kinds of bins in there with all kinds of parts, intake manifolds. We make a hell of a lot of stuff here at Harley B. These are the cables that I prefer. If you go to a Harley Davidson shop, they used to see genuine Harley Davidson products by Odyssey on them. They no longer say that. They just, I guess since they might have started making them in China, I've had a lot of people park their bike and the clutch doesn't work, or the brakes are failing. The cables aren't working right. They tend to break down with the ultraviolet sun rays. Not a good thing to have happen. You don't even know what's happening. Like I said, the Chinese toads, they're so slick. They're selling this stuff at Walmart. It's okay for a 5-year-old's bicycle, and a 5-year-old's not going to know the difference whether it's working right or not, but an adult will. So I stick with the Odyssey. They're a siliconized cable, and the ultraviolet rays do not affect the performance of the cable. They don't shred inside. These on the end of a cable, these metal ends, they're not in the package or they're not in my kits just for you to throw them out or end up on the floor playing tiddlywinks with them. They're for the end of your cable when you insert it into that clutch housing, so it does not bunch the cable up, because I've had a lot of guys build their own bikes, bring them here, nothing's working right. That's the reason. Next, we're going to start on the wiring, and I wanted to show you guys these adorable little connectors. People are always pinging me on YouTube and the internet asking me about how to wire the bikes. This is it. You take those connectors, they're a male and a female end. That's a female. That's the male. You slide them together and they're basically waterproof. I'm not happy with this. I can't wait till they make them with a shrink end on them. And probably when they do, they're not going to be all that affordable, because I have some of the splice connectors. They work fine, but they're $10, $12, and you get like 5 or 6 of them in the pack. So it's not an economic choice, especially if you're working on a budget with this stuff. So I prefer those. And the reason I prefer these is if something does go wrong with the bike, you can still test the magneto, and you can test the CDI by just separating all that. And then you don't have to cut electrical tape apart and work like a monkey. That is the problem here. This guy was an amateur, and he figured he was going to make his own wiring harness. Well, he made his own wiring harness, but he made me a nightmare. That's why the stuff does not go back together in 5 or 10 minutes. So to make a long story short, I'm going to start on the wiring, and it's starting to get dark. As you can see, the sun's going down here in the northeast. It goes down real quick, real early. But it is warm out, so I'm going to stay out here. And it's about beer 30. I'm probably going to have one of them. And I still have yet to get rid of those nasty wire ends and put my own on there. And another thing I do is I keep things consistent. I'll keep my female end at the top, and I'll keep my male ends at the bottom on all my bikes. That's another thing when I get stuff back, and I can tell it's mine because I have a protocol of the way I do things, and I don't deviate. I have a nice little notebook in there about a mile long, and most of what's in the notebook I'm looking at and sharing with you. There's so many pitfalls to these bikes and assembling one of these bikes correctly. I see guys bungee cording the gas tank behind them. I don't know what kind of an idiot would do that. Even for a temporary ride, you could end up with a severe life handicap. You young guys out there, pay attention. Buy a few tools. Skip over the phone. You don't need the phone as much as you need transportation. These are great. You don't need to have a second asshole ringing on your pocket every time to be a, I don't know what. I don't need one. I keep my phones in my shop, even while I'm doing the video. Every now and then the phone does ring. I have to get it because I know who's calling. This is the reason that you need to buy tools and make yourself safe. You can make yourself so safe with $5 and $10. The flip side of it is I go and I buy this stuff at the store, and this is $5, that's $10. When I get to the register, it's over $100 bill. It's the reason why our stuff costs more on the internet. I don't just put my stuff on the internet when the internet hustlers are selling it for 3/4 of the price or an eighth of the price my stuff costs. My stuff is built right, as you can see. And what you get is something that's top-notch, top quality, state-of-the-art at the moment. The art changes every now and then, and as fast as I make things and I make these innovations, the Chinese they used to be a year or two before they could copy something I make. Now they're making it 2 or 3 months down the road. I'm seeing it on the internet. I'd still like you to do business with an American company because they don't back their warranties. They're in China, or the internet hustler is going to tell you did something wrong. Well, Harley B is a little bit different. And this is why we build them here, because this is my proving grounds. That's my wheel graveyard over there, my wheel farm. Really hasn't grown. It's slacked off since July, but people are always twisting wheels. People are using the BR tuning sprocket and my hub, and they're loving it. It's a good device. My wheels also, you can see how thick the spokes are on these wheels that I sell. That's about a $175 wheel on that bike. Frank's quite a large guy, the guy that owns the bike, and I'm quite a large guy, and that's why my spokes look pretty thick. There's a normal wheel spoke. Those are probably about 15,000 thicker than those spokes right there. So without saying that, and it's getting dark, I'm going to try to get this wiring done on this bike.